The basil that I planted indoors is doing really well. I have actually clipped the top off of some of these several times. Clipped the top off, and then this goes directly in my mouth because I love the taste of it. I'm trying to revive a plant that is nearly dead. It's a house plant. You can see it's still got some life in it, but might help if I focused on it for you. So hopefully it will come back to its prime. Let me come around on this side. I planted in this pot some tiny Tim tomato plants, or seeds I should say. Hopefully they come up. And over here, sorry about going too fast, my cabbages are not doing so well. It looks like I have one, just one that's surviving. Oh well, that's the way it goes. I have never had good luck with cabbages. Darlene here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Shedwars. We are a gardening community teaching the world how to garden. So I hope you enjoy today's video. Are you ready? Let's go. Hi. Greetings, Shedwar watchers, colleagues, and people who just watch so you can learn something. Darlene here from Darlene's Garden. I've pondered what this first video in September should be like. As many of you know, I still have burns on my legs. I cannot get out into the garden. Impossible. Hubby won't even let me go out on the porch hardly. I'll go out there a bit, but he doesn't want to take any chances with anything getting infected. So I've pretty much stayed home. I do get to venture out occasionally to doctor's appointments, and I've gone to a few other little events, but not much. So what could I talk about? What could I teach you without getting out into my garden? As you see, I started an indoor garden, and I have plans to do more with it. I've just barely got it started, and I putter around slowly at things nowadays. But I wanted to talk about life lessons that we can learn by being gardeners. Or some of you are homesteaders, some of you are just gardeners. I'm just a gardener. I can't call myself a homesteader because I don't have chickens or goats or cows or pigs, I just have kitty cats, and only 2 of them at that, and my worms. But why do we have a garden? A garden delights us. It delights every sense that we have. We can go out in the garden, or even just go where we can look and see the garden, and we hear the bees humming around amongst the flowers. We can feel the soft dirt beneath our fingers. That's one of my favorite things about gardening, is getting my hands in the dirt. We can see the bright colors of the fruit and vegetables as they ripen and get mature. We can taste freshly picked tomato. I've got a couple of them over on the counter there. Hubby's been going out and making sure that he picks any tomatoes that get ripe. I appreciate that. But true garden lovers, they know that the benefits of a garden aren't just those physical benefits that we get by getting exercise and going out in the sun and getting our vitamin D. And even just raising those plants and flowers. as the years pass and we go from season to season, the garden teaches us many things about life. And many of those things can even change who we are. We can learn, first of all, to look at things from a different perspective. It can save us a lot of heartache. I specifically have been going through that the last month and a half since I had my heat stroke and got the burns on my legs. I have not been able to go out in my garden and get my hands in that fresh dirt in the garden or watch my flowers, my plants grow. So I've had to change my perspective. I can't sit here and wallow in grief because I can't do what I like to do. No, I have to be thankful. I have to be thankful. I know that God slowed me down for a reason. I don't know that reason yet. I don't understand it. I wish it wasn't so. But He knows better than I do what I need. So I had to change my perspective. As gardeners, we battle against the elements. That was true especially this year. Our June was cold and rainy when it should have been sunny and in the 60s and 70s. Our July was hot and dry when it should have been just kind of hot, but not as hot as it was. We find that pests, bugs, come back year after year and destroy our best laid plans of some of our plants. If we're trying to be organic, we don't want to put chemicals on our garden. And sometimes even if we did put chemicals on there, they don't always work. And as gardeners, we can look and say, what am I doing wrong? When you're batting your head against the wall, because the same old thing that you've done year after year, and we're successful at it, just isn't working this year. It isn't working anymore. Why? Well, maybe it's time to reevaluate and try something new. Maybe it's time to do some research and learn what things we need to do to protect our plants when the heat is too much. I'm really lucky here, even though we got lots of heat this summer. It's a dry heat. Our humidity is practically nothing. Whereas I know some of you live in places where it got as hot as it did here, up like 110-ish. But you had like practically 100% humidity on top of it. I don't think I could stand that. It's hard enough here where I have practically no humidity. Of course, I run the danger of not knowing that I'm too hot, even though I try to stay. I was going to grab my drink here and show you. Okay. I try to stay hydrated. But even staying hydrated, sometimes it gets too hot. And maybe we shouldn't have been somewhere at all. Or made some different decisions about things. But change is good. We all resist change. But it's good to see something with new eyes. So I'm having to think about what kinds of things I can grow inside this, starting now on through the winter until next spring, when hopefully my legs will be healed and I'll be able to go out in the garden. But even then I'm getting older and it's getting hard for me to get down in the dirt, and I need to think about raised beds or coming up with different things in order to be able to garden and understanding the limitations of my body. That's what I'm trying to say. optimism is important. Enthusiasm is what keeps us going. And it's a matter of enthusiasm. And we need to stay enthused and do what we need to do until we get used to doing it. And sometimes that's a hard thing, staying optimistic, thinking that, okay, this tomato plant isn't looking so good, but if I give it a little bit of love, not too much love, I don't want to overwater it, I don't want to underwater it, I need to do things that will help it. Maybe a little smidgen of fertilizer, or clipping off a sucker or something. Keeping optimistic about it. We get our seed catalogs when there might still be snow on the ground. And our garden planning is just an act of imagination, isn't it? Yeah, we think about what failed the year before and plants that we think maybe we shouldn't try to grow anymore. Other plants that maybe still, year after year, haven't done well for us at all. Do we want to keep trying? Sometimes yes, we want to keep trying. Sometimes no, let's just let it go and try something new. So we need to trust that the future holds possibility of better things for us. New growth and sunshine, as well as much needed rain. And that's the first step to making good things happen. Most beautiful things in life are sandwiched between a rock and a hard place. I think we've all learned that in our lives. Things in life are not always easy. Life isn't a piece of cake always. There are things we worry about our children. We try to make sure we get along with our spouse, even though sometimes we don't agree with them. We try to be kind. And as a wife, I try to be a little bit submissive. That's a hard thing for me. I'm a little bit bullheaded. But in gardens, beauty is a byproduct. We have to plant a seed, a flower seed, a marigold or a dahlia tuber or a calendula or you name it, a beautiful flower. It doesn't just happen. At some point we had to have planted something, or sometimes a bird plants it for us, and that's an okay thing too. And one of a gardener's least favorite things is when you plant too many seeds and you have to thin out some of the little seedlings that you have too many of so that the strong seedlings can survive. Plants die. Sometimes because of their natural cycle when they're done doing what they do, or sometimes something killed them. It could be us not watering enough or accidentally stepping on it, or it could be a bug or a worm or a rabbit. I have all kinds of rabbits around here, and I haven't noticed that they've been in my garden. I've seen them there. But apparently I am not planting something they really like, because I haven't noticed them eating things that I didn't want them to eat. And I'm thankful for that. We have lots of squirrels here too, and so far they haven't bothered anything in my garden, for which again I'm very thankful, because I know that a lot of you have trouble with both squirrels and rabbits. And we don't get any deer here. We're inside the city limits, and we have a fence around our entire yard. And I haven't seen, only once in the 26, 27 years I've lived here, have I seen a deer, and it wasn't in my yard, it was outside of my yard. So it's not something I have to worry about. we rely a lot on the nitty-gritty business of bees and wind to help produce the fruit in our plants. And plants sometimes struggle because of soil that has rocks or tiny creatures waiting to devour them. It's a battleground of survival. And through it all, we see this miraculous and beautiful life. And this life can thrive. It's exuberant in its existence. Another thing about the garden that it can teach us is that it's okay to be alone sometimes. It's okay to be alone sometimes. We can be alone in the garden at dawn or at dark, so that all that we really feel is the beauty and the quiet with our own thoughts. The magic of the garden is that it somehow always feels okay to be out amidst the plants. We could be sweating and pulling weeds, leaves, whatever, and feeling the satisfaction and pride of a well-balanced garden. I love well-balanced gardens, and I strive to have one, but that's a learning process too, knowing what does well in our climate, and that changes from year to year, interestingly enough. And pride in our well-tended garden. My garden right now is not well-tended at all, and it distresses me. But like I said earlier, it's okay. I just had to change my attitude. And then in the quiet of my mind, surrounded by the noisy chaos of wind and bees and birds and crawly things, I find that being alone is often very good. And every good thing requires a hard work. Hard work is the secret for every good thing, especially really hard work. And having a garden is really hard work. We can't kid ourselves. It's not. We don't just go out and plant the seeds and expect that come fall we can just pick everything. It requires us paying attention to things. The harder we work at something, the better it will be. And you all, as gardeners, know that. If you're a brand new gardener, don't expect it to be easy, because it's not. It's not at all easy. But it's that kind of hard that at the end of the day, when you've done a lot of hard work out in the sun, pulling weeds, tending the ground, tending the plants, harvesting, planting, whatever you're doing out in the garden, deadheading the flowers, picking a bouquet, whatever it is, it's okay, and it gives you satisfaction. Another tip that's important: failure is a necessary stepping stone to success. Every year in the garden, it's a circle of successes and even more failures. Nobody has a perfect garden. Some gardeners will come on YouTube and make videos and all you see is a perfect garden. But what they haven't shown you is the things that didn't turn out perfectly, because every garden has its failures. Which variety of lettuce will do better this year? Why did I have so many cutworms? Why didn't my carrots sprout? It's an experiment that takes place year after year after year. Again, over and over, to find the right formula. And often there isn't a right formula. What worked last year might not work this year. What didn't work last year might be so successful this year that you were just blown away. So there is no such thing as 100% success in gardening. Just doesn't happen. When you were dealing with nature, there are no guarantees. We have no control over nature. So don't try to control your garden. Let your garden express its own personality. And lastly, the unexpected can be beautiful and magnificent. You can plan ahead, but the unexpected will happen. Just like I had my heat stroke and my legs got burned because I landed on the cement. It was unexpected. But it's not always a bad thing to have unexpected things happen. Even the things that we think are bad have some elements of wonder to them. For me, it's been a time of reflection. It's been a time of having to stop and listen to God talking to me, telling me it's going to be okay. I'm not finished with you yet. I have things for you still to do. But I want you to take time to heal your body and to heal your soul and your mind. Dig deep into the scriptures. Understand what life is all about. Many things that we grow in our gardens, we didn't sow there. A bird was carrying a seed somewhere, and he either dropped it from his beak or pooped it out of his back end. And some of those plants that we didn't plant, they grow better than the things we did plant. They're stronger, more plentiful. So in our lives, we need to look for those unexpected things, the seeds that God plants in our hearts. Let them grow, let them become strong. Just like in our gardens, life is short, fraught with the unexpected, filled with failure and adversity, and it never seems to go as we have planned. But it's also magnificent in its beauty as we experience love and laughter and adventures and the small joys that can fill us up with sublime happiness. An example, just this last weekend, my grandson got baptized. Because of my legs and because it was outdoors in the heat of the day, I wasn't able to go. But due to the technology of nowadays, my daughter was able to videotape it on her phone and take some pictures. And someone else that was there took some pictures and sent them to her. So I was able to experience my very precious, sweet grandson being baptized in the mighty Columbia River, giving his life to God. It's such a joy to know that he understands what it means to be a child of God, and he wants to commit his life to following what God wants him to do. And that makes me, as a grandmother, my insides want to burst with joy. Such a wonderful thing. It's one of those little sublime happinesses. Almost none of the moments in our life go as planned. Instead, it's the opportunity of life that's the most delightful part. So let us revel in the little things and find joy in the dirt. I enjoyed talking to you today, and I hope that those tips were some that were valuable to you as I shared my heart and my love for my garden and things that might help your garden be more successful and help you as a gardener to grow not only your garden, but yourselves. Because after all, why are we gardening if we're not gardening so that we can experience those joys, the miracle of life? So until next time, my Shedwar friends and my non-Shedwar friends, everybody who watches my videos, hit that thumbs up button if you would. If you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do that. Hit that notification bell so that you know when I have uploaded a video. I'll have one other Shedwar video this month, sometime before the end of the month. And then 2 more in October. And then our Shedwar year should be about done. But I will keep making videos that are not Shedwar videos. And I try to have at least one, usually more than that, during the week. I don't have a prescribed day that they come out. Just whatever day the notion hits me that I need to make one. And I fill in some of the time with shorts. I like doing those too, so that I stay in contact with y'all. So from Northeast Oregon, may the good Lord richly bless you. May your gardens provide you with more joy than you can fathom. And always seek the truth. Darlene, from Darlene's Garden, signing out.